Now up in the corner, it's a recording. Oh crap.
Every week.
Why, hello, and welcome to issue 587 of Geek in the City Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Duran.
I was totally ready.
And I'm your other host, Cable Hashitani.
Should have known.
Sorry, Bean.
And hi, I'm Norm from Texas, your special Texas correspondent.
That's right.
Hey.
Oh, in my head, I hear like the Daily Show. I hear like, oh, can't hum anymore, otherwise we will get sued.
If-
I
You're
always go
fine.
with Muppet Newsflash from Sesame Street. Hey, oh, this is Kermit the Frog here with you. Muppet Newsflash.
Man, who's more litigious, Paramount or Disney?
Disney.
It's Disney. Who are you kidding here? It's Disney. But you can get away with a little. You can always get away with a few bars. That's the rule.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, at this point, it's just like everything is going to end up on last week tonight. And you're going to have a British guy break it down, talk to us about it, about why it's bad, and find the humor in it. But ultimately, the message has got to get across that sometimes we can't escape our fate.
Man, that was very Sarah Connor of you.
That's actually the opposite of Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor taught John that there is no fate but what we make.
Oh, I guess that's true. And yet,
And-
he still died.
Dun, 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 dun. But that's because everybody
True.
does.
Yeah,
true.
I mean,
I was getting more of a Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy kind of vibe.
pretty much. That, like, if I have to go with something,
I
it's
win.
Jack Handy.
We are all over the pop culture reference map this evening.
Yes, I will still randomly reference my favorite Jack Handy quote of all time that I heard like my fucking sophomore year of high school.
Mhm.
And it's the one of, they say there's a little bit of God in all of us. Well, I hope he likes burritos because that's what he's having for tonight. It's so stupid.
That's a good one.
That's
I like
really
that.
stupid.
It's stuck in my head for damn near, for 30 years. That stupid thing has been in my head because it always has a signature, Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. Over like a beach, right? It was always over a beach.
Mm-hmm.
With only one pairs of footprints because that's when the sand people were trying to hide their numbers.
That's why they walk single file.
That's right. Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Thank you. I knew you were going to do it. Well, hi, everybody. How are things going in this wonderful, wily world we're living in now?
Well, fine, I think. Ish.
I only have 2, maybe 3 more days at my job. That's
Hey,
good.
cheers to that.
Yay.
That's why I made a martini tonight. I was cheering your good
Aw.
news.
Yes, that's why.
I got paid today, so
Always
That's
good.
always
That
a
was
nice
good.
feeling.
and all my bills are paid, and I guess it's time to just start.
You don't have to wear a mask anymore, Norm, because COVID has been fixed in Texas.
Woo.
I gotta go. No, I'm. Listen, Greg Abbott has the searing hate that comes out at that guy. I mean, I'm willing to bet he's probably getting it on all sides, but at a certain point, it's like, how many times should you listen to somebody or people that are experts that say, hey, if we do all the stuff that we need to do, this can go away in a certain amount of time, but certain people don't want to do that. They don't want to listen. They're going to do their own thing, which is great if you believe in the mythos of Texas, it's pretty much like self-reliance. It's a major core tenet of what Texans believe is.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been
working debate right now, isn't it?
Hasn't been working out so well.
It's
like when I heard like we're gonna be like the Alamo and we're gonna protect it, and everyone's like, they lost the Alamo. Like they won the war, but they lost at the Alamo.
Okay, I like with your Jack Andy deep thoughts burrito statement. I always remember the line that always stuck with me was from Necessary Roughness, in which somebody just goes, "Hey, it's going to be like the Alamo," and some guy just turns around and goes, "We were the home team in the Alamo, and we lost." It amazes me that my state is the headquarters of NASA.
I always forget that.
Yeah. It's like literally we have a building full of smart people that can shoot stuff out into space and land it on another planet and get 4K panoramas of another planet.
Well, a lot of that was JPL, which is California. But true. I get what you mean.
But when I read that he was going to take away it, the mask mandate goes away next Wednesday, and they're going to open the state up. They're going to do everything, and people that have followed the rules, who haven't gotten COVID, who have been staying at home and just going to work, wearing the mask, using all of your wits, and pretty much just like slathering your hands in hand sanitizer and washing. We've been doing that for so long. It's just like, when I read it, I was just like, another hurdle. I've got to jump another hurdle because it's just going to be a horde of maskless people who they think that they're doing right. And I get it, but at a certain point, it's just like, when are we going to realize that maybe, just maybe, we should listen to the smartest people in the room? It's okay to do that sometimes.
Well, that's how NASA happened.
The whole vibe of this, it reads to me like when you ground your kid for fucking up, like big time, like grounded for a month because you really fucked up this time. But then they're moping around the house, bitching and moaning. You get tired of it, and so you lift the sentence before the time has been served and without them having learned a lesson, just so you don't have to fucking deal with it anymore. Like, okay, we're not going to make you wear masks anymore, but you should still be wearing a mask. Like, nobody learned anything, and the whole thing is so arbitrary. Like,
if I can,
what's different next Wednesday that's from today?
Nothing. If I can expound on your analogy, Denise, if you go back even further, whatever the kid did to get grounded in the first place, they learned at home. They learned from the parent, which means we need to go back further than just you can't do this. You're in trouble. Okay, I'm tired of you bitching. It's because you were told that this is okay in the first place. This behavior is okay to begin with.
Yeah.
And like we talk about how Texas believes in self-reliance, but that's just magnified in Texas. That's the core tenet of the United States, is that you bring yourself up by your own bootstraps. You are self-reliant. You don't need anyone else. You can succeed on your own. You can live the American dream, and all of that is false. All of it. Um, and like I was saying, I think it just gets magnified in the state of Texas because everything is bigger in Texas. I've been there. It's true. Like
Right.
it's not it's not an exaggeration. There's a lot of great things about Texas, and I was there years ago and very briefly, but
Same.
I really feel for everyone who's living through this right now.
Yeah, that's what freaks me out. Well, really quick, I remember I just read that like one of his reasonings behind it is that new cases like took a pretty steep nosedive. And then like health officials were like, yes, because no one went anywhere for 2 weeks. We were all freezing to death.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they went down.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if part of this is him kind of knowing he'll earn brownie points to save his own ass because he royally fucked up.
That's definitely like the lead speculation from
Look at me, I gave you more freedom.
It's like, oh well, this was a nice way to deflect anger off of all of the death and misery that everyone just went through by giving people what they want, even though it's bad.
I mean, to be fair, that wasn't entirely his fault. Part of that was set up by George W. Bush when he was governor.
Yeah.
Well, it took place during his tenure as governor. They started to go, hey, we may need to upgrade our electrical grid. And we built our electrical grid to handle the summers here.
Mm-hmm.
If there's extreme heat, good to go.
Yeah. In extreme heat, I can run my air conditioner like all day long. Granted, my power bill is going to be insanely off the charts. I can do it if I want to. But basically, he was trying to do what he felt was right. And I with Texas politics, it's always been you have to be the most vicious viper in the viper pit. And it's all business first, and sometimes people get left in the back seat. And I mean, it's like I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing, which is wear the mask, sanitize my hands, wash my hands, limit myself to not going out at night, or if a friend wants to come over, we have enough space in our backyard that we can socially distance.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep doing what I've been doing, but just be slightly more vigilant.
That's smart. I think the thing that really scares me is that, wearing them has not been outlawed. It's just the state mandate. So a private store is still free to force it, but you're going to people are going to get more violent now because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel really bad for the fucking, more so than usual, for the minimum wage restaurant or bar worker or person who works at a grocery store and say the store policy is still to enforce it, even if it is just tangentially. And you motherfuckers are armed to the teeth there. And
well, what I'm picturing is that I would guess that more business owners than not are going to say, well, the only way we're going to keep up with business and mitigate conflict is to just no longer enforce mask wearing at all. Like if staff wants to wear it or customers want to wear them, they can, but it is no longer going to be a common store policy. And that's just going to put everyone who works in those situations in the same boat that they were in a year ago, where they have to decide, is this job worth risking my life? Because that's exactly what it's going to be like.
But now they have no option to even accept the federal benefit, because by him opening up the state, it took all of that away. You can no longer just say my job isn't safe because the state just said yes, it is.
Right. I mean, there were people who had to do that anyway, where like if their place of employment reopened, I'm thinking of one example in particular, and I won't say their name because I don't have their approval, but they worked at a bookstore, I want to say, and their employer opened back up, and obviously there were certain policies in place, but they were open to the public. They were, working face to face with clients, and it was a personal choice for them. She wasn't like a higher risk person. She didn't need to stay home with kids. Her partner or other people in her household were not higher risk. She just didn't want to take the risk, period. And so again, that in that example, it's a very personal choice where she doesn't meet the parameters for basically financial aid in her circumstance. If you don't want to work, you're just not going to have money. You've quit your job.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's going to be a lot more of that.
Yeah.
Which is not what we need right now. We don't need more people out of work.
Right.
I think the thing that people don't understand about this virus is that it starts out in your personal circle and then just keeps marching towards you.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll get with you. This is a disease that loves the fact that human beings love to be in contact.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't understand that, you don't understand that human beings are social creatures. We love being in contact. We love talking to each other. And it's great that we have the technology to talk to each other and still be safe. But for people who are in a lower income, who are having to work the jobs that put them in the direct front line, it's going to hit them harder. And especially now as we're trying to recover, because basically, if we like to think of our economy as this sprinter in an Olympic event, we were running and then all of a sudden we just tripped up and we're trying to push ourselves up off the track and try to get running again. And now you're going to put hurdles out in the middle of nowhere and we're going to trip over those. And it's just, my feeling is like, we've gained knowledge about how to do this, how to be safe. We have vaccines. It's a miracle that we have a vaccine within a year. And for better or worse, yes, the Trump administration made that happen. But we have to keep going. This is a long, protracted war with a disease that not only mutates and some of the variants that are starting to come out are even faster to infect.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to think of this as a long, protracted siege. And you want to open up, you basically want to open up the castle gates in the middle of a siege.
Right.
And pretend that nothing's happening. Like, oh no, my parapet's on fire. Oh well, I still have a king size bed. It's okay. If we're going to do that, you'd better be able to deal with the consequences.
Right.
And unfortunately, we have leadership in Texas that thrives with getting away with no consequences. And
So how do we get you, Katie, and the bulldog out here?
I've either got to win the lottery, figure out stonks, so that I can gamify the system.
I was actually going to ask, what can those of us who don't live in Texas do to support those of you who do?
There are, I want to say, there are some great donation funds that you can give to. Primarily, I hate to say this, you're going to have to do a little bit of research, but if you want to find if you want to find, oh God, I want to say there's actually a resource on the state of Texas website that'll give you a list of donations that we need. Like if you want to donate to various other funds, or just reach out to your friends in Texas. If you have friends in Texas, just call them up, meet them, talk with them. Right now, we're kind of, I know that I've been okay, but I know that a lot of other people are not. And it's going to reach out to them, talk to them. Pretty much it's, if you want to, just talk to your friends. Just if you have friends in Texas, talk to them. Help them directly.
Makes sense.
Can do.
Yeah.
I as if to be ironic, I just went to the state of Texas's webpage, and their portal for the Texas disaster relief is not accepting any donations at this time. So
I did drop a link in the chat for the texas.gov COVID-19 landing page that includes a section of different places to that provide support that are COVID-19 related, like worker childcare, school meals, small business stuff.
great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it gets better for you and you guys can stay safe. But yeah.
I think we should also harass Abbott.
Get ResistBot going on that one.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Hey, I helped.
If the only thing I want to take to task is I would take Texas Monthly to task for writing a very flowery article about him when he was running for governor.
When did he take office?
I have the internet right in front of me. So
Did he get a big bump because of that write-up?
And no, but it did help humanize him a little bit. He was a little bit of a figure before that, but when you run, essentially, if you run for the governor of Texas, it's kind of like running for a miniature presidency.
It's 2014, and they got reelected again in 2018.
Oh, jeez.
And I think too many liberals in Texas, like we keep carrying the ghost of Ann Richards. But Ann Richards was just a tough Texas lady that had been in Texas politics for like forever. And
right,
we're starting to see more and more people of color run for office, run for positions of power in Texas, but they're meeting a lot of resistance because Texas politics has a ton of money. Like it is literally just oil and gas money.
Right.
Bet.
Mhm.
But it is what it is, and I hate to say that, and I know that's a phrase that a lot of people of color just like we're tired of fucking hearing it. Trust me, there are a lot of people in Texas who want certain things to change.
Well, it's also been
But-
gerrymandered like beyond belief down there too.
Because I say this phrase when I worked for the newspaper, like when I loved my job as a photojournalist. I didn't like the pay, but that job gave me more perspective than I ever got in college, than I ever got growing up in a privileged school. I went to a private school. I got more grit under my name working that job than any other job.
Right.
And when you see the whole picture, when you pull back and you realize all the problems of today started way before you've ever come along, and you start to see that maybe there could be a hope for a future, and then you see the long protracted war and what it does to people, and what this world and what it takes to be a success in this world, and how much this world takes from people.
Right.
You have to be humble, and I learned grittiness and humbleness with that job.
That's good.
And I think a lot of people don't want to do that journey because it's not a comfortable journey.
Right.
And that's going forward. A lot of people are going to be uncomfortable. And you're gonna have to come to terms with it.
Mhm.
A lot of people in this country have got to have a come to Jesus moment. And I don't think it's going to be good, and I don't think it's going to end well. But I still have a light and a hope in humanity. Because if I didn't take that journey, I wouldn't be here talking with y'all right now.
Yeah.
And I just realized that it's very privileged of me to say my journey. Oh my god. Oh my god. I just sounded like a fucking Starbucks coffee cup. Fuck me.
I'll send you a copy of Eat, Pray, Love if you want.
No. God no. Ugh. The lone book that told white women it was okay to eat carbs. Fuck you.
Wait, on this show, what do we call it? Eat, Pray, Smite? I think when we had Ida and Greg on last time, they were talking about paladins, and they're like, you can go on a journey. I was like, yeah, Eat, Pray, Smite.
That sounds right.
Yep.
That sounds like a thing that happened here.
Yeah. God,
Yes.
we need a t-shirt line. All the other cool kids are doing it.
Well, I think, Norm, that your story is a pretty good testament to like the importance of journalism, and you obviously had a different perspective on it being part of that industry, but that the fact that industry exists to allow people to understand things more, well, in theory, to understand things more clearly, see the truth behind things, and have an opportunity to recognize, oh, all of this terrible shit that's happening here got this way by this many decades of this much other bullshit that people don't even think about or remember, but it's important because it's how it got us here.
Right.
And it really upsets me when people say that, the small town local newspaper is part of the secret global cabal. You're all part of the liberal media. Like, if that was true, then how come my checks from George Soros bounced and I wasn't able to afford my fucking Rolls Royce? Like,
nice try.
It irks me because I know that newspapers and news agencies, well, yes, when we get stuff wrong, we have the opportunity to go back and make it right by putting retractions, or like, hey, the story, we presented the information in not the best light. Here are all the facts. Well, and what people forget is that it's a building full of human beings who make mistakes and they're part of your community. And you should just take it for what it is. It's a newspaper. It's information.
And it's not just that they forget that they're just people doing a job and they are people trying to provide information. It is also very targeted propaganda against the Fourth Estate.
Yes. What you're describing, Norm, is very reasonable. Human beings make mistakes. Good journalists retract statements and put in, post edit things. But the problem is not that people don't want to give anyone the benefit of the doubt. They are full on convinced that, there is a deep state and that liberal journalists are all making it all up. And, it's just this huge conspiracy. I'm like, I don't know how to convince you that science is real. So no amount of articles, no matter how accurate they are or how flawlessly they are written or represented, is going to change that.
Yeah, no, there's not. I mean, last week, granted, they got blown out of proportion because it still was very sensational. But there were videos of people sorry, Norm, in Texas, because you guys had the most snow down there a couple weeks ago, making snowballs and then sticking a lighter to it and saying that it was a conspiracy because they didn't burn or melt immediately. Not understanding how thermodynamics works. Oh, yeah. At first, I saw that first, thought, okay, this has got to be someone like goofing on QAnon people. This can't be fucking real. It can't be.
Oh, no, it's real.
And there were dozens of these videos.
That's like the people who are trying to prove that the earth is flat by using oranges and plates. Like pouring water over oranges and plates, showing like this is what it looks like versus this is what
I will say this.
I remember
I'll find it for you, Cable.
I remember being in the third grade and watching Mr. Wizard, and he did an experiment of like, you want to see something cool? If you put a lighter, or ask your parents to put a lighter to a snowball, it won't melt. It's called thermodynamics. And then taught that in also like third grade middle school science. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
I have started listening to.
We broke Cable. He's gone. He's done.
I have started listening to. There are two podcasts I listen to now. One is called Knowledge Fight, in which two people watch Alex Jones's like daily program.
Oh.
And then they'll play clips from it, and then they break it down about why he's wrong, why he's lying, and why it's all bullshit. The second podcast I recommend to the audience is QAnon Anonymous, in which it's 4 journalists who are basically have gone through all of the Q stuff and basically mock it for what it is, which is a bullshit echo chamber.
Right.
It is.
But the flat earthers, the one video that made me just laugh out loud was the guy who brought he went to Lowe's or Home Depot and got a level, booked a flight from I want to say from California to somewhere across the United States. And he put the level on the tray back, and he kept filming it, going, "You see, it's perfectly level."
That's right. I forgot about that.
Not forgetting that an airplane has to keep a certain when in flight, they fly in an arc. They have to keep the plane will sit level because that's how you get the optimum airflow, so that they don't burn through all of their fuel.
Really quick, I can't tell if Cable's zoom is frozen or if that's just him raging and just snapping out.
It's just
finally proving that Cable is actually a robot and his synapses have been broken. We're gonna have to chime in Merrick and have her hit his reboot. Hard reboot.
Okay.
The Cyberpunk reboot.
Man.
Hold on.
Are you going to share something with me that's going to make me even angrier?
Should we really quick? This has been a great conversation and needed. Should we quickly talk about chocolates and then go into WandaVision?
Yes,
a literal palate cleanser.
Let's do that.
Norm, you want to hang out? I know you didn't have the chocolates, but you want to hang out for WandaVision, or you got to go?
Sure. I watched WandaVision, loved it, been loving the series.
Cool. Hang out.
Yeah. Hang out.
But I will be right back.
Okay. That gives us time to eat some chocolate. Okay, well, now here's the thing: is I can't listen to the audio right now, and this is from a couple years ago. I think this is the right one.
Yeah, that's him.
Without listening to it, I can't tell if he's serious or not. But for the audience who doesn't have access to this video link, it's just a young man. He's like, "I'm going to prove to you that the Earth is flat." And he pours water over an orange, which is round, and the water slides off the orange because it's round. And then he pours water on like a little saucer, a plate, and of course the water pools up around, within the lip confines of the plate. And obviously, because we experience flooding throughout different places of the Earth, and because we have oceans, the Earth must be flat. Otherwise, all of the water on our planet would just slide right off.
So I actually think this guy does like high art parody.
He looks goofy.
He does. So... I think he turns into the satire so hard that people take it seriously.
I know, and that's why I would have liked to have listened to it again, but obviously I'm listening to you guys right now.
Which is why I have such a hard time with satirists in this day and age.
Because they make people they make people dumber by accident.
Yes.
Yeah.
These people we have what's the word I'm looking for here? Encouraged a culture of that supports a lack of education, basic education, and so that when satirists who are smart create comedy for other smart people, that's what satire is supposed to be. We're all supposed to be at the same level so that we're all in on the joke. And the problem is we have a large population who is not, and they take it as real. That's one of the things. That was why it was so hard for me to get into the Colbert Report for years. It's like, because everyone thought this was real. It's like this is a comedy show, and there were very diehard neoconservatives that thought he was real.
It's funny. How
do you believe he's being serious?
Well, it's funny. You watch early Colbert Report. See, I still say rapport.
Mm-hmm.
He is much more subtle in his satire, and as the seasons went on, he went really, really over the top with his conservative persona. And I think that was a choice.
I guess I don't remember it that way.
It was very subtle in the beginning, and then it stopped.
But
I'll tell you this though, even though I don't remember the differences in the performance style from early years to later years, I never thought it was genuine.
But
it's
how do you
on the fucking Comedy Network?
But liberals get their news from Comedy Central, from Jon Stewart. So why would they not have a conservative show? There is nothing different about Colbert's performance as on the Colbert Report and what Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson do.
Mm.
They are very indistinguishable to people who don't understand satire.
Gross.
Yes,
Yes.
You know it's not gross though.
Chocolate.
these chocolates.
Yeah. So these are like probably the healthiest chocolates I've ever eaten. I don't know about you guys.
I was surprised at how good for you they are.
I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised at how tasty it was because the Honey Mama's chocolate truffle bars contain no refined sugar, gluten, dairy, or soy. They are considered a paleo food item.
Mhm.
The boxes are just adorable, by the way. They look like a really big package of that, like, the gum that isn't strips, but like little bricks.
Oh,
Mhm.
you went to a much more wholesome area. I was like, they look like a package of Nate Sherman's.
Oh, I'm
They
not familiar with those, so.
Nat Sherman's.
Be a long
Nat
night
Sherman's,
if you got
not
a bottle
Nate.
of
I'm not
Nat
familiar with the
Sherman's.
packaging.
Nat Sherman's.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we were given some samples.
Or cloves from the 90s.
Mhm.
I don't know if we all got the same samples, but I got
We did.
perfect. So Tahini Tangerine, which
Mhm.
is dark cocoa, raw honey, sesame butter, cacao nibs, and tangerine.
Mhm.
And remember, the proper way to
We're
say it
gonna-
is sesame butter.
It is.
Time for me to
I
go
ju-
get my bubble bear.
Yeah, I just watched Big Mouth a few days ago, so that's in my head again.
So
Oh,
yeah.
she saved some. My spouse Jen and I scarfed ours down, so I cannot sample them live.
We ate half like right away. But then we obviously forgot to do this sooner.
So to give background, we did have a friend of the show, John, had provided us with these samples so that we could try them out and talk about them. It is a local company. The cardboard packaging is fairly new. It used to be just the packaging and the paper wrapper with a sticker on
Oh, okay.
it, and now they've upgraded to that.
My enormous hunk of salt.
Mhm.
Wrong.
I love the flavor. Like you get a lot of coconut oil
Yeah.
in it, which is nice. There were a couple things I wanted to mention. Do not go, if you go looking for these, do not go looking for them in the chocolate aisle of your grocery store. They are in the refrigerated section because unlike normal chocolate bars, you do have to keep these refrigerated.
Yes,
Right.
they
And
will
it's-
melt at 72 degrees.
Yes,
because
will.
they are dairy free. That's one of the things that actually keeps chocolate shelf stable. Amazingly, the process of
Strange.
Yeah.
All those curds and whey holding it together.
yeah, it's the milk proteins and stuff. Yeah.
And then the other flavor that we got, which was my personal favorite, was cherry hazelnut, which is dark cocoa, raw honey, hazelnuts, Bing cherries, and flake salt.
Okay.
Delicious.
These all sound like they belong on the British baking show.
Kind of.
I can see some inspiration to that. I'm with Denise. I really love the cherry hazelnut.
Mhm.
A, it's delicious, but
You
B,
can taste the real cherry.
that's the thing. They have clearly both been cooked because I was able to eat it without getting in trouble. Both hazelnuts and cherries are things that I have not been able to enjoy for the past few years because I've developed an adult onset oral allergy to them, which is a fancy way of saying my throat seals up and I have to use an EpiPen. Unless they have been processed or like cooked or somehow I just can't eat them like off the tree and what have you. And they were able to maintain those flavors very well. So I was kind of in like, those are already two of my favorite flavors to begin with. So I was in like dessert heaven.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Oh yeah, I was like, whoa, I was gross. You didn't want to see me when I was.
I'd be. I was super happy to eat these, and I can eat this whenever I want.
Both of these flavors are seasonal flavors, so you should get them now while they're still in season.
And for Portland folks, are they like at Whole Foods, New Seasons? Is that where they're at right now, or like Green Zebra?
Let me see. I'm on their website right now. Let me find out where they.
Good idea.
Yeah, I also linked it in the YouTube chat.
Okay.
So-
And a quick little backstory. If those of you are like, John, why does that name sound familiar? If you have heard me tell the tale of back in my PDXR days when I made what is officially referenced as a metric fuck ton of carnitas, and the crew ate about half of it, and then we went and did a fire performance. John came back. It should be noted that John's what, 5'4"?
Yes.
No, I'm 5'3".
Oh, then he's 5'2".
To
Less
say
than
is
that.
he is not a large man.
No.
And there was probably about 4 pounds of carnitas in a bowl still left after the event. And we got back from the fire performance or whatever. John opens the fridge, takes the foil off the bowl, grabs a fork, and looks at everybody and says, anybody want to get in on this? And like 1 or 2 people had a bite. He went, okay. He ate the whole damn thing. Just sat on the side of the couch and went like,
Probably
Joe.
would have been enough for breakfast the next day.
Oh, that was the plan. I was like, I'm gonna make breakfast burritos, and he's just like, oh, sorry.
Like he
Boy can eat.
he burns a lot of energy.
And he
He
can
can
cook.
also
He's
cook.
an
Mhm.
amazing cook. Yeah.
He's the only person I know who at every party I've ever seen him be a guest at, he is cooking at that person's party.
Mhm.
Every time.
He doesn't give you a choice.
No. I mean,
He'll
I'm
say,
fine
like,
with it. I always feel
Yeah.
a little bit weird about someone working in my house when I invited them over to have fun. But delicious
But that is
dumplings.
fun. That is fun. Yeah. You're like, well, you don't have to. And half hour later, you're coming out with amazing dumplings and, a
and you're like,
fermented,
don't stop, Lil
fermented
John.
black bean dipping sauce that he just whipped up.
With stuff in your kitchen that you didn't know you had. It's
Exactly.
like, how did you do this? I
So,
don't
So,
know.
that skill,
he
that
is a
skill was
mage of
applied
the
to
kitchen.
chocolates.
He's a mage of the kitchen. I
Yes.
take it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I've got the list of places that you can buy honey mamas.
In Portland is definitely new seasons.
Yes, definitely. It seems like all of the new seasons, but also Market of Choice down by our old studio space.
Mhm.
Natural Grocers by Vitamin Company, who I'm not familiar with. And then one other small place, the Alberta Co-op.
Oh,
I can
That's a
also
good
tell
place.
you that World Foods in the Pearl District also carries them.
Okay, cool. So
I'm
there are
glad-
definitely options.
Yep. I'm glad
shit.
that Whole Foods doesn't carry them because I don't shop at Whole Foods.
Mhm.
Oh shit. There's got a flavor I gotta tell Jen about. They have a ginger cardamom flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you just go to Honey Mamas, I believe you can just order online directly from them for everyone who's
can.
not local to Portland. Let me get that in the chat for everyone.
On the website right now.
Order some, Norm. Do it.
Yeah, and I'm going to be
And
perfectly
on the
honest.
notes,
I
thank them.
don't like healthy chocolate bars. I mean, I also don't like a plain old Hershey's bar either. Like, I don't really eat like mass-produced milk chocolate, but I also am not like a hippie about my chocolate either.
Sure.
And yet these guys I really, really enjoy them.
They're
Yeah.
fantastic.
Forcing
I-
myself to leave
I-
some for Christian, but not the cherry. I ate all the cherry.
Wait, they're vegan also. No, because they have honey, so some people don't consider them vegan. Wait, what? I'm trying to
Yeah.
think. Yeah, they're not going to list themselves as vegans. I know many vegans will not eat honey.
But yeah, no sugar, no gluten, dairy, soy.
Mhm. And
Uh,
they are paleo if that's your jam.
I definitely recommend checking them out. Your mouth will thank you.
Yeah, and they're good people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Friend of a friend.
Yep. So
Yeah.
Honey Mamas gets
Awesome.
the Geek in the City
Gets
bump.
them. Oh man, if only. We'll see. Yeah, if you order them
Like,
online,
if
they have little note sections say like, "Hey, I heard about yours on Geek in the City." Maybe we'll have a chocolate sponsor.
I will absolutely be paid in chocolate to talk about chocolate. Chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate.
I think we should,
What is your payment plan? Chocolate.
I
chocolate?
think we should introduce them to Nat.
Ooh.
Man, chocolate and cider is a hard balance.
Have you ever known Nat to back down from a challenge?
No, because I drank fermented milk from him before. Not like Nat's personal fermented milk. Like, that came out so much worse than I thought it was gonna. I have had fermented milk that Nat has helped create, as well as his Angel of Death cider, which I still loved. But it was the
Don't
cider,
forget the blue cheese cider.
blue cheese cider. That was the blue cheese cider, the Hawaiian pineapple cider.
That one was
Yeah.
fine. That one was perfectly
Yeah, the Angel
fine
of
with-
Death was fermented instead of regular cider yeast. It was just fermented with yeast that grew off a rotting lamb's leg. I liked it.
That
We brought
man
that
is
to
not
our-
a cider maker. That man is
Okay, that is the most Portland
Alchemist.
statement that has ever Portland that I have ever listened to.
So there's a thing in Portland. I don't know if it's going on right now. Obviously, there's a thing called Fermentation Fest where you're basically like chefs and brewers are challenged to like really go for it. And if I remember correctly, he teamed up with the people at Olympia Provisions and thought he could ferment off the yeast that grows off dry aging leg of lamb. So then he did the whole, biblical thing of, you put the lamb. That's why he called it the Angel of Death, because he put lamb's blood over the door.
yeah,
The Angel of Death from stopping. And then he pasteurized it, so it was healthy, it was safe. I liked it. It tasted like, Norm, you'll appreciate this. If you have a really good rack of lamb and then you mix it with a little bit of applesauce, and a little bit of spice.
oh yeah.
That's what it tasted like.
Mm.
But it is weird to drink a cider that has like, is that meat? That's meat.
It was funky. It was definitely funky. I want to make a quick correction before we move fully away from the topic. When you look for stores near you, it automatically defaulted to Portland without me entering in any information. They might be all over the country. I just typed in like an Arizona area code, and just a bajillion natural grocers came up. So
awesome.
Listener Brad in the YouTube chat just said, looks like Fresh Time Market in Michigan has some. So they have national
Right on.
distribution.
That's what
Okay.
made me go look. Thank you for bringing
Oh.
it back to that. So yeah, go to their website, and if you don't want to order online, if you want to try to buy it locally, they might have it in your area. They look to be all over the place.
Just checking the refrigerated section.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man, look at Treasure. He's all grown up. That was his nickname in Yar, people who don't know. Because he was
holy
small.
cow! They're
Because he
in
was
Longview.
Yeah, he was small, so it was like finding treasure if you found him. And because he could fit in a treasure chest. That was the other part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yard days.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, WandaVision?
Yes. B, do you want to do your recap really quick before we dive in?
Yeah. Okay.
Yay.
Ready?
Mhm.
Hit it.
Here we go. WandaVision episode 8, titled Previously on. This episode starts us off in Salem, 1693, where Agatha is being brought to trial by her own coven for stealing knowledge above her age and station, the darkest of magic. She claims that she can't control her powers, asks, for help. But they don't buy it, and they begin performing a ritual to presumably destroy her. But she instead destroys the entire coven, including her mother, and presumably absorbs all of their power in the process, because everyone in the coven is now dead and desiccated. Now we switch back to Agnes/Agatha's basement. And throughout the conversation, we start to glean a couple things. Agatha, who clearly has a decent amount of power, believes that Wanda has a lot more power than she does, but is also kind of surprised to see that Wanda doesn't seem to know the basics of the fundamentals of witchcraft. Anyway, she takes Wanda on a very "this is your life" style journey through all of Wanda's most traumatic experiences. And then it becomes almost a cliff show from here. We see the death of her parents, which is also the scene where we get to see the origins of Wanda's fondness for American family sitcoms throughout all of the different eras. And you can see almost every single sitcom that is represented in the WandaVision series in a very brief glimpse at a briefcase full of DVDs. followed quickly by Wanda and Pietro being trapped for days inside of inside with an undetonated missile, which Agnes credits to Wanda's powers being the thing that kept them alive. We also learn about Wanda's involvement with an anti-freedom terrorist organization, which is also where we see her interact with presumably the Yellow Infinity Stone. It starts out blue, becomes yellow. Yes, the Mind Stone. Thank you. I wasn't sure. And then we also cut to after Pietro has died and Wanda is struggling with that. This is also where she begins to build a connection with Vision, who helps her through her grief. And that's, I think this is probably the most popular section of the episode. She describes it like this wave washing over me again and again. It knocks me down. And when I try to stand up, it just comes for me again. It's just going to drown me. And to which Vision replies, I don't think that that's true. What is grief if not love persevering? After this little bit of flashbackery is where Agnes really starts ramping up the pressure. She doesn't really care about Wanda's pain and grief. She only cares about understanding how Wanda has the power to create her version of Westview that everyone's been living in for, I'm going to go like on a week and a half now. And then we go to one more flashback. Wanda goes to Sword to see Vision's body. She wants to bury him. Hayward lets her see his body, which is at the moment being dismantled. But he implies that she has the power to bring him back to life, or back online, as he initially calls it, and that he can't let her do that. She does get angry and a little destructive, but she leaves without a body, in which case this memory does not match the footage that Hayward allows people to see of her stealing Vision's body, which he claimed was the precursor to the Westview incident. Next, we see Wanda driving to and through Westview, New Jersey, which is a kind of a sad and run-down looking town. Like we see the town center, the community pool, but everything just looks really defunct. But anyway, she pulls into a driveway of a plot of land that has foundations built around it. And we learned that presumably Vision bought this property and was having a house built there for them. And it is at this point that Wanda reaches the pinnacle of her grief and magic just starts bursting from her body, creating the Wanda Vision home, the version rewriting the town of Westview to what we've been seeing for the last several weeks of this show, and also creating Vision. So again, this goes against what we thought we knew, that Wanda had stolen his body and brought him back to life. So now the flashbacks are over and Agnes understands Wanda's power and goes into the offensive mode. She says that someone with Wanda's powers is supposed to be a myth, a being capable of spontaneous creation. Here you are using it to make breakfast for dinner. She describes it as chaos magic, which makes Wanda the Scarlet Witch. And main part of the episode. We also get a second or third, I couldn't remember, post-credit scene, which is Hayward's team finally ready for launch. They're, in that classic Marvel movie way, they don't really show you right away what they're working on. But Hayward says, we tried every type of power to supply under the sun to get this thing powered up. And all we needed was a little energy directly from the source. And you see a device that's glowing red, similar to the way the hex barrier kind of fluctuates. It has a little bit of a TV vibe to it. And then they activate the real Vision, or if not the real Vision, a rebuilt version of him.
White Vision, which was a thing in Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
I read a thing somewhere that described him as Cool Ranch flavor Vision. I don't know why. I didn't quite put the pieces together, but it amused me nonetheless.
It's
wasn't he a part of the West Coast Avengers?
He was, yeah.
When he was all white, yes, that was.
Yeah, he was a West Coast Avenger.
He had been brought back online because previously both he and Wanda were not allowed to be Avengers. They had, by the U.S. government, they were like, nope, you did this and you did this. You guys can't be Avengers anymore. And they went, oh, okay. And then they became West Coast Avengers.
Cable, correct me if I'm wrong, was Scarlet Witch one of the characters that started as a villain for a little while? Like it was planned, we're going to introduce her as a bad guy to show that she's been manipulated. And
yeah, because both her and her brother were
right
part of the
Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like Rogue was brought on to be a villain. Yeah.
So my biggest takeaway with this episode is that this is where they finally stop hinting around and like really make it the focus, or that they cut to the fact that the focus of this series, what WandaVision is really about, is grief and loss.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, it's not like we didn't already sort of have some of those takeaways, but you know, to get a full 40 minutes of just Wanda's pain and emotional suffering back to back is what all of this has really been about.
Yeah.
Even if Agnes doesn't give a shit about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's kind of, I'm kind of interested though. This episode slightly changed my perspective on Agnes. I don't think she's a cut and dry villain.
Mm-mm.
I think she's also in her own way as being slightly manipulated, is kind of not come to terms with it, but she's finding a way to break free on her own. Because there's that flashback where she says, I can be good. And her mom says, no, you can't. And the mom has
time. Go ahead.
Well, I would say the mom had that look of like, and it hurts me to say this, but no, you can't be good. Something happened to Agnes. And I'm starting to wonder if Agnes has been provoking Wanda because she's like, you have some kind of power. I need to know what it is for reasons I don't know yet, either to help herself or help someone else. Agnes could also be the mystical version of the fucking Silver Surfer, and she is the herald for a bigger, darker power. And it's like, I need to get shit ready, either for my master or because my master is coming. I need someone who can help put him down.
And
so I'm risking everything. That
feeds into the Mephisto theory.
Right. Or even darker, just like what? Not Chult. Chult is an island in D&D, but Marvel has their version of Cthulhu that kind of starts with like or something.
I like going back to that, you know, that sort of witch trial scene. I had, and this is probably a credit to Catherine Hahn's acting, I didn't really believe her when she said, I can be good, or oh, well, the magic just sort of, you know, did what it wanted to do. I'm just a little baby. There was just that little bit of hint of like, not sarcasm, but just this like subtone that told me she wasn't being genuine when she said that. She was saying what she thought would get her out of the situation.
I could see that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's not like she, you know, they start to like go in to destroy her, and she doesn't really seem scared, and she doesn't seem shocked when her magic goes offensive and destroys them instead. You know, really? Like if not to me. No, I mean, there's definitely like a little bit of an awe there. Like, oh shit, maybe I'm more powerful than I thought, but the magic is doing what she wants.
Okay. Yeah.
I tend to agree with Denise, up to the point of that still doesn't mean that she's evil.
Okay, that's fair.
But that's also because I view, like, we humans tend to get lost, stuck on this person is good, this person is bad. These are good things, these are bad things. These are good versus evil. We're mired in that. When you start taking on powers and abilities that raise you out of the mundane existence, good and evil, especially if you're, when was the Salem witch trials? In the 1600s?
1661.
1993 is where this happened specifically.
So she's over 300 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She has a completely different perspective on what good and evil are and what is seen as evil by someone who only lives one lifetime. She's lived 3 and has gone, this is all kind of come and gone.
Right.
Yeah.
What was bad at one point is now good. What was good at one point is now bad.
Well, to me, I really hadn't factored in any of the like, this person is good or this person is bad. I hadn't really like tried to dissect whether I think Agnes is good or bad. What I do think is that she, from a very early point, knew how to absorb and gain more power.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she's trying to do now. She is pushing so hard to understand how Wanda did what she did because she wants that power. Maybe it's because she thinks she's protecting other people by taking it away from her, but also she wants that power for herself. And like you mentioned, okay, she's 300 years old. That kind of reminded me of concepts like altered carbon is the first one that comes to mind. Is people live like, lifetimes instead of one lifetime. And it really skews your perspective on not just what good or bad or right and wrong is, but your perspective on what you deserve or what belongs to you in the world.
Yep.
Right.
And also she's lived so long that she recognizes the patterns in people.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel that she's pulling all the levers to get Wanda to a place where she's going to be weak and try to give up that power.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think Agnes is a much more interesting character if she's not a cut and dry villain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all agree that that's not the case.
Yeah, because it seems like they're moving into what, phase 4 of the MCU?
Yes. Huh?
I feel like phase 4 is all gonna. I mean, it's Magic's time basically. Spider-Man's gonna be dealing with the multiverse. We got the Sorcerer Supreme. Number 4, phase 4 is gonna be okay. Now we're bringing magic into the Marvel, the MCU. I can honestly see them waiting till phase 5 for mutants in general. Let this play out. Because who's the what's the ultimate pushback against a world like overrun, like Magic's taking it, like the Sorcerer Supreme can't hold up very well. So what's the best way to push back is science that looks like magic, which basically gives you the Fantastic Four. I'm just saying that's a way that this could kind of play out. It feels like.
I think they also opened the door for mutants earlier than phase 5 by stating that Wanda's powers did not come from the experimentation on her by Hydra.
Right.
They were, both she and Pietro were the only people to survive their encounters with Mind Stone, which we've seen what happens to most normal people when they.
I always forget that when it meant Pietro survived the Mind Stone also, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't know what happens if a regular person interacts with the Mind Stone.
Any Infinity Stone, you fucking die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's.
Like in Guardians.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why they all held hands so that they were sharing the power. That's why it's a big deal when Captain Marvel just picks up the Tesseract and hands it, puts it in their case for other people, because she knows that she can pick it up, but not everyone can.
I mean, that's why it took the Hulk to wear the Infinity Gauntlet and snap, or the one that Tony Stark made. It wasn't the gauntlet itself.
Right.
And it took the Hulk to survive it, and it still shriveled damn near like a quarter of his body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's why it killed Tony Stark. In his trekked out thing, the act of using it killed him. And the main reason why Star-Lord could hold it is because he's part celestial, whatever those are called in Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
He's a celestial being, half. You can't hold it if you're just a wee mortal, as it were.
And speaking to her encounter, who do you think she saw when she came in contact with the Mind Stone?
She saw the Scarlet Witch. She saw herself.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about that part.
So
I think I was typing when I would have seen it the second time around.
Because-
Merrick actually asked the question. It's like, does that mean the Scarlet Witch was in the Mind Stone? Not that she was seeing a reflection of herself, of a future self, but much like Jean Grey and the Phoenix Force.
Right.
It's like, I don't know the answer because
Do,
I know
do
what
you
the answer is
mean-
in comics, but I don't know what it is in the MCU because it's
Right. And the MCU is not going to be the same as the comic. My
Mhm.
read on that is that Wanda has existed many times before. And she never recalls the Scarlet Witch unless it's forced out of her.
Wait. So when you say she saw herself in the stone, is that like? Do you mean like there's another entity that becomes one with Wanda, and then Wanda becomes the Scarlet Witch, or she sees her own future self?
I think
Yes.
she sees her true self. She delves into her own. When she touches the Mind Stone, I believe it
Like a magic mirror?
Mhm.
It symbolically opens her mind. It opens her third eye, whatever you want to call it. And she's like, "Oh shit, that's me," because it's the most OG Scarlet Witch silhouette they give her, like the most
Mhm.
elongated head part ever, like the cape, like the whole thing, you know. And I also think, yeah, she may have existed many times because again, like she's the Nexus. She is a Nexus. There's only one of her at any given time.
That's what's been in the comics is in all the other iterations of the different multiverses of for Marvel, there is no other Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shit ton of Spider-Man. Only one Scarlet.
Oh yeah, a lot of Spider-Man.
Now, I just wonder because since we are dealing with magic now, when like is the cameo going to be Benedict Cumberbatch as Sorcerer Supreme?
So I heard a theory that I really like, and if it happens, it's going to fucking blow my mind. I'll be so happy.
I have a theory.
The rumor I have heard, the theory I've heard that I dig, and this is true, Paul Bettany never actually worked with him. White Vision is going to be Ultron, and we're going to hear James Spader again.
Oh, that'd be,
Why would it be Ultron?
Because Vision, his body was being built to be Ultron in Age of Ultron. That was going to be that potentially was going to be Ultron's next form.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jarvis. But
Jarvis
then there was a different
pushed it out.
Body who was.
You got to catch up and rewatch it. Yeah, you got to catch up. It's a part that like I forgot too, and I watched like a 10-minute scene. And I was like, oh shit, that's right.
Yeah, so I am rewatching, or watching ones that I missed. All of the MCUs. I'm up to, or I'm up through Iron Man 2. So maybe I'll squeeze another one in tonight.
That
I want buttered.
What's that?
I want buttered.
James Spader and Paul Bettany did share screen time.
That's the thing that I don't get is that they did talk together, and they wouldn't be on screen together no matter what. Because no disrespect to James Spader, but he is not fitting in that White Vision costume. That's going to be Paul Bettany in that one too.
No, what I mean is they've already been on screen together.
That's what I said. That's what kind of shoots the hole in it, but I still like the idea.
Yeah,
that's not a very good theory then.
I
didn't say it was mine.
I have heard the theory that it would be neat to hear James Spader voice the White Vision,
and it could be.
Yep. I still think the dark horse in that is Loki.
Mm-hmm.
As Darcy.
Yes, my coworker actually came to the same conclusion that it is that Loki's behind this, but that Loki is actually the sword director.
Hayward.
Mm-hmm. Which is why he's being an agent of chaos and doing all of these things to push Wanda. It's like, okay, that's also a valid theory.
There's that. I feel like me with Hayward, that's just humans are garbage.
Yes.
Trying to think who in the MCU has Paul Bettany not worked for? It's still Benedict is the one that screams out because they work together in the Avengers.
Yeah, they've never been on screen together.
Not on screen together.
Oh, and I could use some help with this too. Is why does that seem like a likely candidate, like story wise, for Doctor Strange to be
You want to
Magic.
magic
just
and a
because they
few.
both are magic?
Well,
Yes.
and there's a few things also in like 4 months. Spider-Man: Far From Home takes place, and Peter Parker like literally asks Nick Fury, like, why are you sending me? Why aren't you sending, if these are elementals, why aren't you sending like Doctor Strange? And he's like, he's busy.
4 months though.
About 4 months from WandaVision, which he could still be dealing with the fallout of WandaVision, is what I'm saying.
I suppose.
I mean, they're not going to bring somebody new. I can't imagine them bringing somebody new, so a new character in. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Plus, they've already done that.
Right. So I'm trying to think, like, who has Paul Bettany not worked with? And since he was in, you know, technically 2.5 Avengers movies, like he's worked with a lot of them, but not Benedict. Yeah, he would have worked with Tom Holland, right?
Yeah.
Yes, because
in Endgame
Civil
or
War.
in Infinity War. Oh, Civil War. Duh.
Mhm.
None of the Guardians make sense, and he's interacted with them.
No, he hasn't.
Really? Well, I mean, even then, I can't imagine the Guardians making sense for this.
Yeah, they wouldn't, because they were all fighting Thanos while the rest of them were in Wakanda.
Right.
Which I have a note about Wakanda in a second.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, I mean, we're all assuming it's going to be magic based, but what if it's high, super tech based? I mean, he didn't work with Shuri.
No.
So
like the other direction to go would be it's Michael Fassbender.
Ooh.
That is true.
And they're just going to close that loop right away.
Right.
And go, ooh, sorry. And go, oh, it's Magneto.
Right. I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe Agnes is like, oh, maybe Agnes has like a contingency of like, oh fuck, if I do get this power untapped, I've been looking at the multiverse, whatever, and I know that in another place, this is her dad. So maybe if I get him ready,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It is fun for sure. I'm bummed that we will not have any more nerdy speculations after next week.
It's funny, as I read an article that says like all this time we've been trying to figure out who is the bad guy in WandaVision, and it turns out it might be us, because all anyone can talk about is the Easter eggs and like the character reveals and who the bad guy is or who's behind the scenes of everything. And just like, and how is it all going to fit into the MCU canon? Mm-hmm. How does it all tie in? And spending a lot less time thinking about or talking about Wanda's story, her story and her life, and of course all of her grief, which, like I mentioned earlier, is like kind of the whole point of the show, I think. Yeah, in a weird way.
I get that to a point, but I don't know if I fully would subscribe to that opinion, because by our nature, humans love a mystery, and if you give us a mystery, we are gonna drive ourselves bonkers to figure it out. It's like that TNG episode where the aliens mind wipe them, but they leave like way too many clues, and they're like, we have to do it. We can't help it.
I mean, obviously, this is what they want us to be doing, is to be speculating, because they've kept so many little things under wraps and dropping in these little hints that let you like speculate. Well, maybe it's going to turn out this way, or maybe they're going to bring in this character.
Right.
I'm not going to invalidate the viewpoint of that opinion piece that you read, Denise, but I will say that it is an incredibly cynical view. It basically takes the standpoint of we're all garbage, and it's like, okay, that
well, it wasn't like an angry or like mean.
It doesn't
write-up.
it doesn't have to be angry or mean to say that I believe that we are we're the villains of the story because we are doing exactly what we are programmed to do.
But technically, we and Agnes are the villain, according. Because again, all Agnes wants to know is how she got these powers or how she accessed them, and is like dragging her through.
I don't know if that's going to be an
all
honest
of her
answer.
past trauma.
I don't know if that's going to be an honest answer until the episode to the show wraps up.
Mm-hmm.
That was my takeaway. Is like we still. I mean, like, god damn, what are they? They've got like 45 minutes. Well, maybe it'll be a long one, but they have one last session to like wrap all of this up. And if there is a bad guy, they have really taken their time in revealing that. And it's just going to be a lot to cram into one episode, because I don't think this is going to be a continuing series.
No, they've said it's not. Fahey basically said that we are not planning a season 2.
So it's a miniseries then.
They said the last episode's 50 minutes, which means 40 minutes of actual episode, because WandaVision has the longest fucking credits I have ever seen for a show in my life. The one thing I do hope is I hope we get some kind of acceptable resolution. I don't want the core of the resolution to be, and you'll find out what really happens when Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness comes out. And I don't see them doing that.
They won't. They've proven time and time again that they will go ahead and close all of the loops that they need to give us a satisfactory ending, while setting other things up. It's like, yes, there will be more of this will be explored here, but this part of the story is done.
Right. I almost feel like if they did leave it open-ended like that, to tie into other things, it would maybe ruin the series for me. As someone who is not like a hardcore Marvel fan, whether it's MCU or the comics or, just any of it, I have really, really enjoyed this series as a standalone product, a story. I've never really felt a lack of enjoyment or appreciation for what's been going on in the series, because I don't know anything about Scarlet Witch or the Vision. And if they ended it on this like almost cliffhanger, then it would no longer be a standalone element that you can enjoy without years of added content.
That's fair.
And to that end, I would say, look at the shows that WandaVision has paid homage to, like the Dick Van Dyke Show, Malcolm in the Middle. All those types of shows wrap everything up with a bow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point. Like,
oh yeah,
they are historically, classically filmed shows where every episode is its own little thing, and at the end, it's over. It's just done.
Yeah,
and I think it's going. The show, as people have discovered along the way, yes, it is about a woman's grief over losing a pretty big chunk of her family. I think what this is going to do for Wanda is push her to a point of acceptance, which is a lesson we all need to learn, that yes, while grief is a powerful, powerful emotion, it can create a world that is false and fake and doesn't allow you to grow.
Yeah, I think definitely the takeaway right now is that Wanda is hiding from her pain.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that in the long term is not healthy. And like the subtext is like, it's not healthy for you, but the overt storyline is that she is like creating an unhealthy environment for an entire city worth of people.
Entire world eventually.
Potentially, because she's running away from her pain. Zach mentioned, he's like, people watching the show aren't ignoring the themes. Just that the internet isn't really set up for these kinds of in-depth mass discussions. That's a really good point.
It used to be when we just went to forums, or maybe I just went to very specific forums where we were having very in-depth and interesting conversations.
That's true. I'm sure there's a whole Discord conversation going on right now in one of my Discord servers, but but there's so much activity that I can't keep up.
So we got to kind of wrap it up here, but before we do, I do want to touch on one more kind of news thing. Unless if you guys anyone want to say something quick on WandaVision, like jump in.
I did want to say one WandaVision thing, WandaVision item about how Director Hayward was telling Wanda very specifically, it's like, that's $3 billion worth of vibranium. I can't let you walk out of it. It's not out of here with it. It's not yours. The second he said that, I went, it's not yours either.
That's a very good point.
All vibranium belongs to Wakanda, especially vibranium that was stolen by Ulysses Claw and then sold illegally to Ultron. All of
Wait,
that.
is that who got it? He got it from Claw?
Yeah.
I forgot that part.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how he lost his arm, was in Age of Ultron.
He cut it off.
He cut it off. Ultron was like, oops.
Ultron was having a tantrum because he got compared to Tony Stark, and he whipped around at Claw and cut off his arm.
Fucking forgot Claw was in that movie.
Yep. That was
that whole middle chunk of Age of Ultron that it's just, yeah.
That kind of sort of didn't work.
Yeah.
But it does have relevance to what we're watching now in WandaVision.
Right. And I do like the only vibranium ever freely given was Cap's shield.
Yes.
Both in the movies and the comics, because there's a really fucking cool Captain, like a, flashback Captain America series where like Steve Rogers, I think it's Steve Rogers and not even T'Challa's father, so it would be his grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Nazis try to invade Wakanda. Like they find out the secret of Wakanda in this. I think it's like a 4-issue miniseries. It's really fucking good. It's just basically Steve Rogers learning how to hunt and stalk, being taught by like the Black Panther of how to do this shit. It's a really fucking good comic, and the gift is vibranium.
Interesting.
Also, quick little side note: if you get a chance, buy the graphic novel Black Panther by Doom War. It was it was like a kind of a crossover that did not do well, because I think it was the crossover right when like another major Marvel crossover was happening. It was basically Black Panther versus Doctor Doom. And Doom is able to take over Wakanda. And at the time, the vault that holds the there was political infighting in Wakanda, and Doom takes advantage of it. So he basically takes over Wakanda, and they're like, we're not worried, because it takes someone of like pure of heart and intent to even access the vaults to get to all of our vibranium. And T'Challa's attitude is like, that's not what it takes. It takes someone who believes at their heart that they are right and doing what is best for the world. He believes that. And there's a scene where Victor Von Doom like strips down, and they're like, he just literally goes into the vault and just walks in, and he's like, see? Oh, it's really good. It's called Doom War. You got to check it out. It's solid. But before we wrap up, I just want to talk about really quickly, which it could whatever. It was announced a few days ago that being produced by J.J. Abrams, Warner Brothers is planning what they are calling a reboot of Superman, but written by Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is fucking fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's very likely that means Cavill's out, and I'll miss Cavill because I think he never got a fair shake at a good Superman, and he is a good Superman. He's a good Clark Kent. He was just in awful Superman movies. So I'm bummed out for him, and maybe Ta-Nehisi is going to be like, no, it's not a reboot. I'm going to say, okay, what happens to Clark Kent and Superman after he's done some things that isn't really very Superman-y. But you know what? There's also a place where Ta-Nehisi Coates can really yet again take Superman back actually to his roots. When Siegel and Schuster made Superman, they were just a couple of, Jewish kids in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And Superman's kind of, outsider immigrant status reflected their own attitudes towards their own existence at the time. And that's kind of been forgotten in a way. in a modern era, Ta-Nehisi Coates can write about the fact of like, okay, I am not an immigrant. I was born here, but I am very much an outsider in the country that enslaved our people to build it, and I am still not welcome.
He is an excellent voice for that type of
Yeah,
commentary.
and I heard some complaints like, "Oh God, another reboot. We don't need this." Blah 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 blah. And why are they hiring this guy? I'm like, he's not only one of the most eloquent and gifted and intelligent writers of the modern era, but I can't think of a better writer who could personify a character who was all about truth and justice and morality. Like, I get chills thinking of him channeling this character as a moral cipher that we need to see.
Mhm.
And he stated he is a Superman fan.
You can't believe in the inherent goodness of humanity one day and not be a Superman fan.
And I like that.
That's why he's also writing Captain America. I mean,
yeah, I've heard
those
his
things,
run on
you
Captain
love
America
these characters.
Really, really good.
Fantastic. And you know what? Fuck it. I know there's been rumblings about this, and I'm down with it. I would love to see Michael B. Jordan as Superman. I don't care the backlash that it will create. But like, can you imagine you still have, kind of, apple pie, Kansas, ma and pa Kent, white farmers. You don't have to change the beginning. Ship crash lands, baby comes out. It's a black baby. It's a black Kryptonian baby. You've now added on all these things that the Kents now have to deal with and come to terms with themselves. And therefore you're pointing a mirror at America. Then there comes a time, if you want to really go crazy about it, especially in our current political and social setting, where Clark Kent realizes, I can't be hurt. I live in small and middle America, and a few people are kind of figuring things out because I'm a black man in Smallville, Kansas, dealing with what would probably he'd still have to deal with, whether or not he's the last son of Krypton or not. And if he gets pulled over, like, the cops can't hurt him. He knows that. They don't know that. Cops can't hurt him. No one can hurt him. They can hurt Martha and Jonathan, though. So then there's another reason why he leaves Smallville. It's like, the best way to protect my family and make the world better is to leave them. And now I have to make things right with the world. So there's a lot that can be done with this, and I'm super jazzed at the possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that Superman's having a little bit of a moment now, just because of the CW show and just how overwhelmingly positive.
So much fun.
The fan reaction.
I cried so much. All I did was cry for an hour and a half.
I watched the first one. It's airing right now. That's why I'll watch it in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Did you not like? I'm assuming you liked it then, Cable.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's Bean. Did you watch it?
I haven't seen it yet. I totally forgot it was out.
It's so good. Norm, I'm assuming you liked it, or
I've seen clips of it. I have not fully watched it yet.
I knew in the first 5 minutes that they aired on YouTube that I was going to love that fucking show. I just knew.
I don't really care for the actress that plays Tyler Heckler's Lois Lane, but I like Tyler Heckler. He was Hecklin, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bitsy Tulloch.
Yeah, I don't care for her.
I find her weird, and I don't know why.
Well, first of all, her eyes are too far apart.
But I will say that Bitsy Tulloch's depiction of Lois Lane matches Tyler Hoechlin's performance as Clark Kent and as Superman. Like, they are a perfectly matched acting team to play those two characters.
Yeah, like for whatever individual feelings I have about Bitsy Tulloch, they have excellent chemistry and timing. So I intend to watch it. I just sort of dropped the ball so far.
Yeah. I like that so far on that show, the brothers are not being set up as adversarial. I mean, there's always going to be some kind of brotherly conflict. That's just the nature of family. I will say I was really hoping, like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And so far they haven't.
Hmm.
They've shown where it could happen, and then they pull away from it. Like, nope. I was like, oh, thank God. I am curious about Captain Luthor. And Joe Illidge posted something about it the day after the episode airs, and he's like, all right, so your villain is a black Lex Luthor. Please tell me you have some black people in that writer's room. Because if you don't, you're going to get it wrong.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is not some shades of Red Sun, that if this is not a Luthor from the future who has gone back. But
no idea, but I'm interested in finding out more.
Either way, we've been going on for a while here. But anyway, yep. I just wanted to get out my thoughts on the Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman. I hope Warner Brothers doesn't take the chicken way out that I've read. Some people suggest they could do to avoid, not conspiracy, controversy, and just say, well, let's just make it an Elseworld Superman. I'm like, no, don't make it Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give me the whole line about like, well, it'll confuse people. I'm like, you know what? We got 2 Batmans right now. We've got Keaton, and we're gonna have what's his nuts in the Batman. We're gonna have 2 Flashes. Robert Pattinson.
Almost 2 of everything except for movie Wonder Woman.
Correct.
So don't give me that shit.
Yeah. So anyway,
stop rebooting shit then if you're so worried about confusing people.
I mean, you got to reboot it when your stories are garbage.
Yes.
Or maybe go tell different stories.
Yeah.
Or at least move past the fucking origin story.
We didn't talk about it. We texted it right after the show. And we do have to fucking wrap it up. Jesus. We're getting a Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, which is awesome. Ooh. So cool.
I kind of can't wait for that.
Yeah. It's a good team on it. I do hope they bring in John Rogers a little bit, just to, if nothing, to give advice. Because his instincts on making that on Jaime Reyes were just on point. They were great.
They were.
And John Rogers is a good guy. I've never heard a bad tale told about that guy. So eventually that means one day you're going to see a Detective Chip movie written by me.
And on that note,
I love Detective Chimp. Want Detective Chimp? A Detective Chimp and the Demon movie working together. There you go. That's an odd couple.
And on that note.
All right, fine.
On that note.
Is it next week that we're having on one of the co-creators of Crow and Coyote? We talked about it, and I think it's tangentially in the calendar.
You mean tentatively?
That's what I meant. Tentatively.
I don't remember putting that on the calendar.
This is behind the scenes stuff, but regardless, congrats to them. I think they're already at 400% of their goals, and it launched 12 hours ago.
It did. Guardian Games also became a backer today.
Yay!
At the retailer level.
Not next week, but the week after, the 16th.
He's not going to fucking need us at all, but I want to talk to him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Super pumped for that book, that game. Looks amazing.
Agreed.
Well, on that note, as Norm walked away,
I know.
I'm Aaron Duran.
I'm Bean Rita.
And I'm Cable Hashitani.
And we will talk to everybody next week for the last WandaVision. Spooky.